Hello, welcome to Japan Seikatsu. I'm Ian. I'm here today to give you 7 tips to make the first 6 months, first year of your ALT experience a success in Japan. And in building this list of tips, it's a combination of experience that I had over 3 years on the JET program in Shikoku. I also spent 4 hours recently speaking with another ALT that did 5 years on the program, JET program. And I also worked with a Japanese educator that had the experience as both a student experiencing ALTs, but then also has experience in the Japanese education system. So there's a lot of great tips in here. Hopefully you can find a lot of benefit from them. Let's get started. Tip 1 is to cultivate a how can I help mindset, and I would focus this first and foremost on the JTE. As background, JTEs are really overworked in Japan. They've got a tremendous amount of responsibilities for their day-to-day teaching and the students, but they also have bukatsu and club activity responsibilities. So this means that they're working weekends and they're often working late at night. So you want to make sure that you ask, how can I help? Do you need help grading those papers? Do you need a proofread? Do you need a sanity check? Do you need shall I revamp the English board? Actively trying to help support your JTE will help build a strong relationship, which is a key part of being a successful ALT. As they say, if you make your boss's life easier, your life gets easier. And I would take this mindset as well with the other teachers and other coworkers as well. So if you see a gym teacher carrying equipment across the field, do you need some help? Or if you see somebody preparing the Kyushoku, which is the student lunch, asking them, do you need some help? This mindset will pay dividends, I think, with your Japanese colleagues, and it'll help you get started on the right foot. Tip 2 is don't leave at the exact minute, the exact second that your contract says you can leave. So for a lot of ALTs, it's 4 o'clock. I would recommend not leaving at 4 o'clock on the dot every single day. Even if it's 4:05 or 4:08 or 4:10, 4:15, just going that extra mile will help others perceive you as not somebody that's just watching the clock. And being a part of the team in Japan is quite important, and going the extra mile is quite important. So I would invest a little bit of time, and that also means when you're coming to work. If work starts at 8, maybe you come at 7:55. I heard a saying once in Japan that in Japan, 5 minutes early is on time is late, and being late is unacceptable. So just something to keep in mind. Go the extra mile, stay a few more minutes, do a little extra work in preparing for the next day. Tip 3 is to learn the names of all your students and the other teachers as well, of course. A core part of a successful ALT is that relationship with the students, and any relationship starts with knowing the person's name. So invest the time to learn their names, and that'll help you build relationships with them outside of the English classroom as well. So if you're having a conversation in the hallway, or you're playing sports with them, or you're eating lunch with them with Kyushoku, knowing their names, spending time, understanding, what are they passionate about, it'll make you a better teacher, and it'll make the experience so much more enriching for both you and the students and the whole community. Tip 4 is to try not to speak Japanese in English class. And if there's a difficult grammatical explanation that needs to occur, that's really the job of the JTE to explain the grammar in Japanese. And keep in mind that you're on the JET program, or you're there as an ALT, and the largest reason is to expose the children to English. So as much as possible, stick to English in the English classes. Now, I think outside of class, it's not as black and white. I think if you're eating kyushoku with the students, you're playing sports with the students, and you want to use some Japanese, you're learning Japanese, I think that can help you build a deeper connection. And they see that you're struggling to learn a foreign language and you've got this funny pronunciation and you're willing to be vulnerable to learn a foreign language. I think that also helps instill in them a little more confidence to try to be vulnerable, to give English, a foreign language, a try. So I don't say this as a black and white rule. Use your own judgment. But in English class, I would stick to English as much as possible. Tip 5 is to observe Japan's nonverbal cues. So in Japan, they call it reading the air, kuki o yomu, and having a antenna to really sense the air is quite important in Japan. And I think the longer you stay in Japan, the more you work in Japan, the stronger your antenna will get. But when you're brand new to Japan and being an ALT, when you bring forward ideas, and I would do it at first, if you've got an idea, I would float the idea with your JTE one-on-one. If you're getting a little bit of pushback, you're hearing words like "chotto muzukashii" or "dou kana," "muzukashii na," maybe take the foot off the accelerator a little bit. And if you feel passionate about the idea and you think it's a real value add, you can always circle back in a couple months as you've built up the relationship with the JT and the students more and give it a go. But I would really do a lot of observing in your first 6 months as an ALT and observe those nonverbal cues. Japan has a culture that really doesn't directly say no. So if you hear what you're translating in English as maybe, or that's a little bit difficult, I would take it as a no for now. Now, having said that, one of the biggest values that ALTs bring to Japan is a fresh pair of eyes, is and some great ideas, and that's how innovation occurs, and that's how you move the football forward. So if you do have an idea and you're passionate about it in the right way, don't give up on the idea. I would try to bring it forward, but again, in the right setting with the right approach. I had a friend who was a 5-year ALT on the JET program, and he had a great idea to introduce his Japanese students to students from his old American school. So the students in America were learning Japanese, and of course the Japanese students were learning English. So he set up Skype, and during class they were able to speak to each other, and it was a big success. And they were able to actually put the language to use, which was a rare opportunity for them because this was rural Japan where they were located. So he had a great idea. He deployed the idea after he built up a relationship with the JTE and the students. And on the technology side, I also think that's a very strong asset that ALTs are bringing into Japan. Often you'll find that the ALT may be like an adjunct IT department at the school. So you guys are bringing a fresh pair of eyes. You're bringing a lot of IT know-how and technological know-how. So definitely leverage this, but just be tactful in how you do it. Tip 6 is to attend the nomikai, or the enkai, which is essentially the party with dinner and drinks that teachers have maybe once a month, maybe once every 3 months. It's after hours. It costs between 3,000 and 6,000 or 7,000 yen usually for a regular one. The other Japanese teachers don't see this as optional. They will most likely always attend. And I would adopt that same mindset, that this is just part of the job. And I would always attend. So much important communication happens in Japan outside of the formal meetings. And the Enkai is a place where you can build a relationship with teachers that you don't usually work with. You can build a relationship with your JTE. If you are studying Japanese, I would view it as a free Japanese lesson because you're going to be inundated with the Japanese language, and they can be a ton of fun. If you don't drink, that's entirely fine. There was teachers at my school that didn't drink and received no pressure to drink at these events. So as best you can, I would attend these. I would view these as mandatory. And again, being a team player in Japan is huge. And if you attend events like this and you stay a little bit later, you're going to be perceived as a team player, which is important in Japan. Tip 7 is something that I did not think I needed to do, and I was entirely wrong. So I was a history major at undergrad. I had written a thesis. I thought I know my English. The tip is to review the grammatical rules of English. And what I learned on the JET program is that what sounds right to a native ear is not necessarily always correct. And I now see this, it's mainstream publications, I see professionals misusing the English language. And it's simple stuff. It's like subject-verb agreement or the correct use of plural. So go back to the foundational English grammatical rules that we learned in elementary school and middle school, and make sure that you have those down so that when you're asked questions in Japan, you can give the correct answer, which is important, and you've got this strong foundation from which to answer questions. In Japan, you're going to be seen as the one who knows, the native speaker. But a lot of times, because we learned English from such a young age, we really didn't take a grammatical approach to understanding it. So definitely make the time, go back and review your English grammar. Okay, if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to click like and subscribe to Japan Seikatsu, where we talk about everything and anything related to Japan. If you've got tips to help ALTs, new ALTs as well, please put them in the comments section. Let's try and share all of our collective knowledge to help people that are new to Japan, that are new to teaching English, to be successful at it. Okay, thank you.